Hey guys, Hope Adams here, and I just wanted to share with you a psalm that has been special to me as of late. And I find myself going back to it and reading it as the Lord reminds me the importance of dwelling in His presence. And it's Psalm 73. It was written by Asaph. Asaph, back in those days, was considered a choir director. And to me, I see that Asaph wrote this during a time of his life where the Lord reminded him the importance of being in His presence. And it starts out, it says, "Truly God is good to Israel, to those whose hearts are pure. But as for me, I almost lost my footing. My feet were slipping and I was almost gone. For I envied the proud when I saw them prosper despite their wickedness. They seem to live such painless lives, and their bodies are so healthy and strong. They don't have troubles like other people. They're not plagued with problems like everyone else. They wear pride like in jeweled necklaces and clothe themselves with cruelty. These fat cats have everything their hearts could ever wish for." And he continues to talk about that all the way up to verse 12. And to me, it seems so relevant even for today. I know at least in my life, I find myself comparing, looking at other people's lives and maybe those who don't follow Christ and think, man, they seem like they just have such a wonderful life and all these wonderful things. And if we're not careful, we compare ourselves to others, which can cause discouragement, which can cause frustration and resentment. And then he goes on to say, "Did I keep my heart pure for nothing? Did I keep myself innocent for no reason?" Verse 14, "I get nothing but trouble all day long. Every morning brings me pain." And he's saying to the Lord, am I doing all this for nothing, Lord? The trusting, the waiting, the believing, the not growing weary in well doing. God, is this all for nothing? Where are you in the middle of all of this? So Asaph is being very honest and very transparent with the Lord in this moment. And then he says, "If I had really spoken this way to others, I would have been a traitor to your people. So I tried to understand why the wicked prosper, but what a difficult task that is." And to me, what Asaph is saying is, I was trying to understand in the natural what was happening. I was trying to make sense of what was going on in my life, what was going on, and what I was seeing in the natural. I was trying to reconcile it, and I couldn't do it. It was just causing frustration. And here's the turning point. I love this verse. Verse 17, he says, "Then I went into your sanctuary, O God, and I finally understood the destiny of the wicked." And I want to zero in where he says, "Then I went into your sanctuary, O God, and I finally understood." I went into your sanctuary and I finally understood. I don't know about you, but I know many times in my life when I'm trying to figure things out in the natural, when I'm trying to make sense of where I am, make sense of where people are and comparing it to where I am, it can be frustrating. It can be discouraging. And what Asaph is saying is it wasn't until he entered into the presence of God that he was able to understand. And then he goes on to say, "Truly, you put them on a slippery path and send them sliding over the cliff to destruction. In an instant, they are destroyed, completely swept away by terrors. When you arise, O Lord, you will laugh at their silly ideas as a person laughs and dreams in the morning." Then I realized, he says in verse 21, "Then I realized that my heart was bitter and I was all torn up inside." To me, when we're in the presence of God, not only does it change our perspective, but it changes us. And what Asaph is realizing in this moment, as he's in the presence of God, he's seeing things as God sees them, but then he's also seeing those areas in his heart where, golly, I didn't realize I was torn up inside. My perspective was wrong. And so being in the presence of God helps us to see that. He said, "I was so foolish and ignorant. I must have seemed like a senseless animal to you. Yet I still belong to you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, leading me to a glorious destiny." And then verse 25, he says, "God, whom have I in heaven but you? I desire you more than anything on earth. My health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever." And so the two things that I take away from this psalm is, one, As I said, being in his presence, it changes our perspective. It helps us to see things in truth. It helps us to see things the way he sees them. And then being in his presence changes me. It changes us as we step into his presence and as we are face to face with him and we are consumed with truth and consumed with his glory and who he is. We realize in that moment, whoa, okay, I was seeing things a certain way and it was wrong. And being in your presence, Lord, it helps me to see how you see things. And I see them in truth. And I see them in the light of who you are. And I see them in the light of who you've called me to be. So I love this. And then just the last couple of verses, he says, those who desert him will perish, for you destroy those who abandon you. But as for me, how good is it to be near God? It's like in this moment, Asaph's like, oh my goodness, Lord, I'm in your presence. And how can anything else compare to being in your presence? How good is it to be near God? I have made the sovereign Lord my shelter, and I will tell everyone about the wonderful things you do. So if I can just leave you with this encouragement, get in his presence. Don't underestimate those moments. It doesn't have to be hours and hours, even if it's just waking up in the morning, taking that moment to be in his presence. When you're in the shower, when you're driving down the road, spend those moments in that time with the Lord so that he can give you his perspective and he can change your heart to become more like him.